This is Louden Stearn's Introduction to Music Production course. I'm going to be presenting my Week 3 assignment. My name is Jeff Tollefson. I'm currently living in Quito, Ecuador. So hi everybody, I'm going to be presenting a side-by-side comparison of a digital versus analog channel strip. And by the end of this lesson, you should be able to have a basic understanding of signal flow through a mixer, be able to name and identify the component areas on a mixing console, and recognize some basic similarities and differences between a digital and analog interface. Okay, so on the screen you can see that on the left here I have my DAW, this is Logic Pro 10, and on the right I have a picture of an analog mixer. And in both cases they're designed to give you a visual representation of the signal flow moving from top to bottom or moving from input to output. So if I start with the analog here, you can see that this is your input for your XLR cables or your balanced or unbalanced TS or TRS cable. And then you can adjust the trim or the gain here for your signal strength. If I move over to the digital board, also have your inputs here. And this is for instruments, real instruments coming in through an interface to your computer. Also choose mono or stereo. If you're using synth instruments, you can choose them here, your synth or MIDI sounds, drum kits where you select those things, stuff like that. So that's pretty much your input section. All right, so our next section on our console is going to be the insert or aux sends. On an analog board, it's where you're going to find your EQ knobs in this section. You can kind of think of it like the goodie section, because in this goodie section right here is kind of where you're going to enhance your sound or change some things and add that into the signal flow. On an analog board, it would be most common that your inserts would probably be in the back of the console, sending it out to an external device and then bringing it back into the signal flow. If I go over here to the digital board, you can see that all these inserts are already here. So all your goodies is just basically a click away for you to check out whether they're compressors, EQs, or having fun however you want. Going back to the analog board, you'll see your aux sends here, and this is useful when you want to send out your signal to a separate source for monitor speakers, for example. If I go over to the digital board, right here they're just called sends in this configuration, and here's your buses, which are just pretty much just little mixes here. And you can see that you can just change your bus configurations and set them up however you want, pre-fader or post-fader, so that you have that. And that's pretty much your goodie section right there. Next we have the pan knobs, and the pan knobs are always found in the same place, right above the volume faders. Here it is on the analog board. And the purpose of the pan knobs is to change the relative levels left or right of a stereo signal. So if I move over here to the digital, you can see I'm changing left, changing right. Important to remember that at no point are you actually moving the signal from one side to the other, but again, you're just changing the relative levels left or right of a stereo signal. Let's move back over to our analog board to our last section, which is where all the volume faders are, where you control the volume functions of each track. You have right here the mute, if you want to shut this off, or solo if you want to hear only that track and mute all the rest in most cases. And then you have each individual fader right here, and then usually at the bottom is where you name your tracks. So these are named for real people in the analog case, and in the digital case the track names are down here, and I guess, well, not real people. So here's their functions here. Again, you can mute this track or you can solo, and you can see that all the other tracks are muted in this particular program. Here's the volume faders. About 3/4 of the way up is usually right where they have unity, and if you're moving down from that, you're attenuating, and up from that, you are amplifying. And after you simply change all of those the way that you want, you move all of that over, and then you have your master bus or your main mix. Over here it's the same thing again. You manipulate all these as you want, and then you have your main mix that controls the volume of the entire project. And that's pretty much how the channel strip works.